right, everybody, let's get right into it. Pretty crazy few days, and it doesn't seem to stop. NASDAQ is back down 1,000 after yesterday's craziness. And right now, we have kind of a major situation right at 18,000, 18,002. We were as low as 17.9, but this is a big level intraday. What's going on, chat? Everybody's kind of streaming in. It is seriously like I say seriously as in like questioning the validity of what's going on. Never saw anything like yesterday. I don't know about you guys, but I've been looking at charts a long time. I never saw any kind of move like yesterday. So it really is it's rookie hour. It seems like it's rookie hour. Anyway, what's going on? Great to see everyone coming on in. Yeah, a little late. Just let me know if anything's with the volume. I had a little audio issue, hence the delay. NASDAQ 18,225 right now, and 18,000's, that's the death fight. I gotta say that even with what we kind of framed out, targets we had on NASDAQ, QQQ, SPY, I really am pretty amazed by what has kind of transpired in the last 48 hours. And the low down here, the on trading there was 481.80, guys. Our major weekly T1 objective was 482.25. And then we bounced 50. No, more, 70. And so that, I think we've had a few amazing things happen in terms of harmonic patterns of what we do, especially with the software. I mean, we're only like 5-6 years in on this thing. And we're unlocking unbelievable stuff. Yeah, that's no matter what. The whole framework is just more than ever firmly robust. No matter what the tariff, who's going to tweet, what country, what the rate's going to be. And so let's stick to the framework. Let's define levels and go from there and build arguments for buying or selling. Right now, with the current T1, that is officially a go. That's like a first step at 482.25. Yeah, we can say that type 1 reaction minimum target has been reached, but we're going to have to look at a few other things. Namely, we need confirmation. Don't have to have it, but confirmation is absolutely essential no matter what the level. And we saw that at the top. We're seeing that now. And we go to the weekly here. We have to look at SPY both weekly and monthly, but we're still oversold, guys. And we're not officially even out of the zone. So be aware of that. Be aware of how early this is. Target achieved, but we're not done. Hence, you see, I mean, S&P was down 300 a scratch ago. NASDAQ's down 1,100. What are you going to do? How are you going to define opportunity? Like, am I going to step in and buy all of these depressed tech stocks and everything? Is this it? Where is the bottom, the real natural harmonic bottom as defined by buyers and sellers? No narrative, no whatever. What's the price? And then what's the next move? But, round of applause for like type 1 hitting it on the dot for SPY, which has been, I mean, again, I missed the majority of that move because I was just thinking reaction. I thought we would do more time up there in that zone, especially with the monthly. But now monthly is this is definitely one of the greatest monthly specimens I've ever seen. Monthly, I mean, just monthly. You have to go back to probably 2008. We had that shark pattern. This is like going to go down as a legendary all-time monthly deep crab pattern. My question is it just a type 1 reaction? 482.25, then we can start to anticipate the larger continuation of the multi-year bull market, which has been my thesis all along. It's just taken 3 extra months of my life of waiting, trying a little bit along and not really getting it on the dot, getting, scorched a little bit. But this is the assumption, okay? And it is maintaining a decade-long uptrend. 482.25 seems to be a pretty critical spot. And I would even say this, that look, and we're going to find out after today. I mean, right back down is not a good thing. But I'm going to say, if you guys want to really have problems, then you don't have to freak out until under 431. I think anything from here down to target 2 off of this monthly deep crab is a probable outcome of what that whole pattern is. It is pretty remarkable, and no matter who the president was going to be, because this pattern completed last year, they were going to have to deal with this pattern. My assumption has been do the type 1 reaction. And this has been going on for, I don't know, that's what I've been saying for 6 months now. Longer than I expected. I thought we'd be hitting it and then go on the daily, no less. I thought we would come back up into the zone here. But no, we decided to do the full type 1 now. 482.25 pivot and then start the continuation. You have HSI here on the monthly, guys, but we won't even know until next month. So you're at a spot where anything you can expect is going to be short-lived. I think anything that you're going to do is going to have to be a day trade still. That's been what I've been saying for months. It's not the swing environment. It's a day trade environment. And then some of this is, I think for a lot of people, just chill. Just let it do its 1,000-point thing. I mean, I've taken some whacks and, NASDAQ things where they go up 80 or 100 points, and then it's back down 80 or 100 points in literally a minute. That's where we are. And so a lot of this, I am just not doing anything still. A couple of looking at a couple of things seriously. But right back down now where we are. I talked about this in my Discord with my crew this morning of why NASDAQ, this 5-minute NASDAQ, so critical. Not surprised to see this thing pull back after yesterday's all-time move. One of the greatest manipulated moves I've ever seen in my life. For certain people to tweet about the move and then directly be able to provide price affected data, price effective information that can move the market. It's where we are. Okay, I just think you're going to have to. We're going to have to kind of buckle up and get some big boy pants on and accept the fact that the markets are going to continue to stay like this for a while. It's going to be crazy. And even if it goes up, Even if it can find a bottom, I'm not convinced it's found a bottom yet. And that would take many weeks of action to confirm truly. Can't expect an automatic V bottom right out of here, especially with a day like today. I mean, people are saying, okay, V bottom after yesterday. You don't do a V bottom. You don't give 50% back of the initial blast the next day. I like that. Tariff and station. Yeah, I mean, come on. We're playing games here. Seriously, guys, I really think people are playing games with the markets and don't care. And so, okay, there's not maybe looking for some sell side opportunities. Like this crab pattern on the 5 minute that formed yesterday, but no confirmation. Here's the pattern. There's the crab, but confirmation didn't happen until overnight. Crazy how that goes, but that's the sequence we use. Listen, really quick. I didn't even do this. Lots of emails, lots of new people. So welcome. I'm happy to see that. Guys, just be clear about getting the TradingView trial for 2 weeks. Just send your TradingView username to hpc@sr-analyst.com. A couple people asking me if I'm going to do another webinar like I did last session, and maybe in May or June. I don't know. I'm going to think about it. Because I think there's a lot of follow-up material that I could, certain strategies to feature. But get with that. Yeah, we'll give away a package here in a little bit, but start there. Also, new folks, please dive into the basic information as a member, free member, basic member. Just sign up there at harmonictrader.com. But get with the software, because everything we're doing, especially the weekly levels, this weekly situation with like NASDAQ, I mean, that too it was this crab pattern, weekly crab. Okay. We're here in a type 1, a butterfly, excuse me. We're 17,838. That's a really critical level that we need to hold, if not close above. Last week was target 1, but this is massive. You do have HSI. Very possibly could get a check back. We have to just wait and see. We do not know until we at least get a green week to close by tomorrow. But if you're not looking at the patterns, let's just do it this way. Let's say you don't know harmonic patterns and you're just looking at that. Does this make any sense down here? I mean, it doesn't. You could just, you start kind of like trying to look at static levels versus something like where it frames it out. I mean, that framework, I've said this before, we are going to be dealing with these big patterns, these multi-year patterns, for at least 2 years. Because I think we're still, look, things could get totally loco, and, I mean, I think Trump's got enough of an eye on the market that if it gets down too much, he's going to change course. He's definitely playing games. And you see that in the volatility. Traders don't have no clue what to expect. A lot of people have to trade every day. The big firms, trading desks, they have to make their bank every week, every month. You and I, we can be patient about this. Right now, it is ludicrous. Unless you have an absolute fire setup, just let this thing fade out. At least settle down where we go from back to like, plus minus 300. NASDAQ's a big day. This 1,000-point stuff, we seriously have to just be cautious. And with him, whatever he wants to do, he's, at any point. Also says a lot about, putting stop losses in. And I'm not always one for a stop loss. I'm more the mental stop loss type of guy. but I would think in this environment, almost essential. The problem is something like NASDAQ's trading plus minus 100 points inside of these tiny fractional bars. 5-second chart. I found myself looking at these a lot, and you can see the moves. I mean, look, 5-second chart, beautiful patterns all over the place. Look at that Gartley, a type 2 Gartley that just happened. But that's one. This is a 5-second chart. There's the T2 down there at 137, and you're at 214 inside of a minute. I mean, come on. But this could be a way, if you've never looked at that before, check it out. Again, same type of 1-2 required. You want confirmation, reaction reversal. Let's keep that up. I haven't even looked at S&P on that level yet this morning. See where we're at. It's off 245. 5-sec, couple bearish patterns right here. 52, 54, 52.62 area. That'd be like the next setup. What about like the 5-minute? Let's see what's going to happen, because the only thing we have to ask ourselves is this going to go all the way back down and retest the lows? And if we go back to yesterday's lows or the day before's lows, look out. That would be a real problem. I want to leave you guys with a couple of major levels in terms of these indices. Just stick it in there like this, where we said 48.70, and it's still like this. It's this kind of, I've been thinking about it a lot. First of all, where is it going? And is this thing more than just now gone from retracement to retrenchment to full-on correction to bear market crash? Because that would be more of like the 40 to 50% decline, not 20%. So S&P's been the chart, still is the chart. And I would look at it this way, where right now we're above 5,000. That's a good thing. Really what we want is 48.70 to hold. This is all automated. Patterns are kicking it out. And so we just need to bring in a little bit of just comprehension of what are the pattern possibilities. The easiest way to really define and understand the whole framework is like narrowing it down to one or two possibilities. And that's where we are right now. 48.73. That has to be the low, and we have to do it this way. Big flash low and start some kind of pivot. We will not know till next week. If we fail, like doing something like, coming back, we're up 50 off that low on S&P. Now down 200. You need this thing to come back. So we're back here on the edge, but now we're on the edge of this weekly scenario, because the only other two possibilities, guys, let's say things get crazy. Let's say she gets on Twitter or X and starts tweeting at Trump and says, oh yeah, 300% tariffs. And then, Trump, I don't know, man. It's take a breath. Everybody take a breath, but it's pretty clear. If it's not here, and I can't be even joking, because I've already gone through a crunch more than I wanted to, but 43.50, is target 2. And that's for sure. And I don't think it would even take a full 48.70 retracement to know that. So I'm watching here. It's more like 4,200. We start losing 5,200, 5,150, guys. Then yesterday was all fluff. And then what are the where are the big levels, like the washout levels? And if we're just going to go off of what's here on the chart, okay, we're trying to figure out if we go from T1 to T2 right now. 48.75, 48.70, back and then break lows and continue this whole thing, which is like 4,200. And this is where it could stretch out over several weeks, months. But we'll know. I mean, let's see. We've got to get to Friday. It's already been an insane week. Probably the most insane volatile week I've ever seen in my life. Maybe 1987 was like crazier in one day, 2 days. But even 87 was like, that was it. They crashed it. It went all the way down, and that was the low, and they never looked back. This is not that. I mean, if we were 87, this week we'd be at 3,500 S&P. Without a doubt. It would be like that kind of a move. And that's still on the table. Some of the stuff about 87 was that it was really only a multi-year retracement. Markets had raged early 80s up into 85, 86. We could look at that, but here it is. So just know, and I would say right here, today, like can't hold 5,200, guys. I'm thinking 48.70, and then with a leaning towards this is if this isn't going to hold or we're not going to get any confirmation, then why not some kind of overshoot? But 48.75, I will focus on that like a laser right now. That is the biggest number. It's really the biggest hit, biggest level to get hit the first time since last summer. We had a really clear 1618 initial test, and we went straight down. I mean, big flush. It was beautiful. I mean, it was as remarkable in terms of this 1618 of a multi-year extension getting rejected as what we saw this week at target 1, 48.73. So it fits in line with what's been the problem. We have looked at a lot of bullish opportunities that were screaming, and they all failed, or they failed to give us confirmation. Here's Dell Computer. Some people sending me notes saying, is it time to buy? Like, here's Dell Computer. And this is just another one where, as we're looking for this, especially a perfect type 2, you have a little bump reaction move, the counter HSI straight to the hop, and that's the only consideration. When you see something like this, and you're at 100, you have to start thinking, wow, it wants deeper into the zone, and the only thing it could be would be hop, or the only place I would really buy this is at the hop with confirmation. And so, remarkable. It doesn't matter. It's down 60%. Yes. And there's not much here to support it. I'm just, it's amazing. Now, the other side to this is the fact that it did an unbelievable move from 30 to 180, a 6x in less than 2 years. So as we've seen with crypto and everything else, why not do the reset? That's what's at stake. Like, if this was all fluff, that's what we have to ask ourselves. Was the last 2 years, 3 years, was it all fluff, artificial numbers, artificial job numbers, all the growth, so-called growth, was government hires who did nothing, and then we know that they spent all the money. So what are the possibilities? Like, frame it out. Measure these waves. What is that? What's that corrective wave? It's a Gartley, guys. 1618. $62, something like that. It won't kick out, won't be official until we hit the numbers. I've got the potential thing on, or excuse me, turned off. But this is how we should be looking at these. Is this an opportunity? Yeah. Is this the generational opportunity I talked about? Yeah. But it's happening in a way where my take on it was this. We get a retracement. It was really clear. If it was Bitcoin, if it was tech stocks, whatever. We're looking for this retracement. What the hell's happening? It's falling apart on the retrace. That's okay. We're flexible with it as it comes together. I was willing to go long a bunch of this at $90. Happily thinking I was getting a bargain. Now I'm thinking 65. This should be some kind of capitulation low where it comes in here. Maybe it spends a few weeks down here and never looks back. The only problem with all of these has been this ridiculous HSI. That's a monthly HSI for Dell computer. One of the lowest readings we've had. Last time we saw something like that, you have to go back to 22 before the super ramp. But it took months to get out of the zone and then another 6 months before it really triggered any kind of larger move. That's where we are. We haven't even done initial inflection yet. Yeah. I agree with that. Let me do Amazon and I'll jump to Tesla, guys. Amazon's like this, monthly basis. No, kick it to the weekly. Weekly time frame, we have to look at it like this, okay? And I'm long a few slices of Amazon, thinking that like 200 was the spot. 195 maybe. Certainly not 160. No, not 165. But yes, we were there. So now what? Well, confirmation? Not really. Here was the last kind of dragging out about 6 weeks ago. We're down at the hop of the shark. And this too. This was the thing where thinking it was going to be a layup. We knew about the deep crab type 1. I was thinking, go to type 1 there. And then an easy return trade. 201, 197 back to 230. Well, it fell apart. And I'm still long it. And again, I do want to add more on this has been more of a swing position. It's not a huge amount where, yeah, the drawdown hurts, but it's not, I can take it. And I do want to be buying Amazon longer term in the first half of this year for the next 3 years. But where does it do the return move? 182? That's where it should go. But weekly, weekly is saying not yet. And here we have this inflection finally, but we're not even out. We might not even be out till next week. So again, we're sitting here waiting. S&P dropping back under 5,200. Great. NASDAQ's down 1150. Hold on. Let me go back to both of those futures. Let's see what's going on. And this is the problem with going up 2,000 points. It's not sustainable, and sometimes going up too much is a sign of weakness, meaning it's all into that one bar, that one day. More like short covering. I imagine all the people who were short. Market rallied 10% in a day. Now back down, what, 5%? 6%? That's not really strong. S&P 500 on the 30-second chart. We're sitting here right now, 5193. Not the nicest of shark patterns, but that is a shark to 5-0. Would I go long here? No. I mean, it's a possibility, but some things would have to look. You're not good question in terms of like assessing this 5 minute setup, but we go and we look at we see the same thing on the 5 minute that we see on longer term. This won't even be official until it can get an inflection and get out of the zone. HSI just did the inflection. Let's watch this for a second because 30-second chart, we should see this if it's going to develop. The minimum level, 51.93, right there. Do we have confirmation? Double dot. But where are the indicators? Like HSI is not coming out yet. Amplified, still oversold. And we want to get HSI above the 50 first. What about the 5 minute? I mean, this thing is, yeah, look, 5 minute doesn't have anything here. Come back and retest that dot. That's still lower at like 51.65. Are you kidding me? Let's just run through the time frames. 4-hour chart. Yeah. Going dot to dot. Look at that. Pretty amazing here. HSI dot. That's what that yellow thing is. And that's been really helpful until we get maybe another dot on the 4-hour. Even with yesterday, I mean, again, it was like too much in one session. As is today. I think today is too much. But when you're going with the trend, that's more significant. I mean, down 1,200, right back. But play it within the context of the major scenarios. If this is just a reaction, then we're going to come back and retest. This is all of those lows. 48.70 was down there. 48.70, all of this. You got to include the extended market as well. We're looking for the levels to get hit, ideally during the day. But gotta consider it with everything going on. S&P 500 is down 294 now, 295. Trying to crack 5,200. So it's either here, basically 4,800. You want to have a little bit of extra, I don't know, for some kind of stop run low here. But my question is this. If we know that this is the major scenario, type 1, all your targets were there, right there on weekly. And that's going to be our number one scenario, then if this is a real rebound, what should it be doing? If this is a real V shape, it should be something like that. It should not be doing like X, A, B, C, D. Almost could say that's a Gartley. Damn close. You know, I think that's really close to Gartley alignment. Take it off of today's open, of just today's session. That's pretty much a Gartley, 786. Like that. Kind of tough to pick it off like that, but the key of what you're looking at right now is looking at this corrective wave up, and then what does it do? Is it an ABCD? Like this? Like here? Because if this is just an ABCD, guys, and C point, exactly 886, that's nuts. That's nuts. Then that ABCD should only be like a 113. should be pretty tight. Maybe you can include like a 127. But all those numbers say like 5,400. A lot of ways to skin this cat, but right now we're just trying to let the structures come to us and dictate what the larger scenario is going to do. Are we going number one? S&P futures, and again, it's going to be the number one chart in the world for a long time. Monthly charts like this, it's clearer. You've got 30 bars, you've got everything. So 48.73, and we're thinking like 5,200, 5,150. You can't hold those levels. We're probably going to come all the way back down. And then if things get super squirrely, just know the two other possibilities. That 43.50 is not to be, dismissed. What I thought almost might happen yesterday, and this is something else that, again, guys, you've all been here for a long time with me, and we're looking at the patterns, the confirmation. Sometimes the way these things get hit are so crazy that if you're not in front of it, or at least, describe the possibility to yourself, then you'll miss the whole opportunity. And this is probably the big thing to be looking for the next week. You had the type 1, right? 48.73. You had that massive move yesterday above 5,400. Had we just done this and continued this in a crazy, just follow through 2-3 day move and hit 56.15, we would officially be in the type 2 phase of this whole pattern. And in a really sneaky way, that could have set off the type 2 to get the target 2. Maybe over a few months. Still a possibility. Maybe on the monthly, it bleeds into next month, but that is, that's seriously advanced harmonic stuff. I'll show you an example of that in Ethereum in a second. But don't be surprised if that hit 56.15, 50, and then just rejected hard. We still have to work out the pattern. Think of it that way. The type 1 reaction, the type 2 reversal, okay, hitting those levels as a minimum is framework. That's all framework. Ideally, we want confirmation there. We don't always get exactly what we want ideally in the markets, especially this kind of stuff. But if we're aware of how it should unfold within the framework, okay, we know what to expect. Things get crazy, we'll know it early. That's where this whole thing is. 56.15, guys, that would be the big number on the upside. What's the trailing stop number where we are right now? S&P now down 305. Okay, and falling apart. Not a good look. Not a good look. And I when I see these kind of bars, I feel like traders are just starting to stretch and flex these bigger daily ranges that really not healthy. I mean, we don't really want this to continue, but if it does, it's saying a larger situation's unfolding. That's it. I don't want to go and just say, oh, okay, that's it, crash, whatever. I want to take this thing in chunks, but it's pretty clear what the possibilities are. The return possibility, like the real bullish possibility that I see for now would still only be a type 2 return move back to 56.15, and we probably would still have to deal with this. I go to the monthly chart, okay, this is going to be a textbook chart example for volume 4, but we're here. We're deeply oversold with HSI on the monthly, hitting under 11.3 now. Amplified last month, clinched it by hitting the 50. Now this month, firmly into the 50. And the last time we were here back in 2022, you still had was that candle. And you still had 5 months down before turning around. Just to show you guys, if you're thinking, what do we need to see for this thing to really turn around, would be that kind of a flush out inflection and get above the 50. So we could have a stabilization, but a turnaround, it's going to have to be more like this kind of a thing. Yesterday it was juicy, crazy, 500 point move, whatever it was, just 700 point S&P crazy move. It's insanity. But it's only one day. You got a lot of work in a way that we have a lot of work, seriously. And when I say that, technical work, sometimes you have to test serious levels and do some obvious things like to 2022. We knew we were in the midst of a correction. And it hit some oversold levels. But to do the work means, yeah, you're going to have to go in. You're going to have to test it. That's a month. You're going to have to give the inflection out. That's another month. And then you're going to have to put in some progress. That's a couple more bars. That's where we are currently with this chart. I'm glad that we're down here hitting oversold right now on the monthly, but I wish it was the last week of April. Because if we continue to go lower on the next monthly candle, that's where the expansion happens. That's why where we are right now, so critical. S&P rallied as I'm turned my head for about 5 minutes, just rallied 30, 40 points. This is nuts. But let's just continue to expect this. Let me see if, before I go on any individual stuff, I'm going to jump to Bitcoin in a second. I think Bitcoin's got a lot of work to do itself. Here's the 5-minute chart. Any opportunity here? Well, 51.90, guys. That is target one off of that crab pattern. That's pretty interesting. 51.90. So if you guys, I'm sure we got some futures people in the house. S&P 51.90.75. We had the yellow dot that was a little bit lower. But here, watch it out. Again, we have this, I'd look at it like that. Beautiful dot. There's your level, but counter HSI. More work to do. I'd say right here at 52.65. This is your range for right now. I wish that came back and retested that at 51.70 one more time. But look at it like this. You got to get above that type of stuff. Still lower. It's been they just came out and started selling it late last night, which I think everybody knew. And for this move, 51.90, this 5200 level, maybe the 5-minute is all you need to look at for now, because even this setup says we don't hold here, we go 50.69. And again, you get under this 51.90 level, there's not much to even say, why not just go back to 5K? You're not looking at patterns, you're looking at round numbers, and you're thinking 5,500 on the top side, 5,250, 5K. Yeah, we will. We'll get to all those crypto. Listen, with all of these markets, guys, this is a just a liquidation event. That's all. It is people taking profits and chucking their money to the side. Definitely, we're looking for capitulation. Yesterday was amazing, historic, absolutely. Now, here's the other thing. Let's go back on the weekly a little bit with a little perspective of the fact that it's a critical week. We're trying to put in another HSI arrow here at a critical level, like there and there and there. So we have a lot of precedent that these arrows are popping up. HSI is signaling important areas of oversold, degrees of just extremity. So we're super close. The only way that could fail is we do something like 2008. You go back, here's 2008. We fail the obvious level. 2008 is the example because we had a whole bunch of other pattern structures. What's that? That's the futures. Where's the other one? Hold on one second. Let me go back to that. It was the monthly chart. Yeah. And so we're trying to apply similar metrics and framework to past examples. There's the O2 level. Okay, check out, if something's going to fail, that butterfly, it looks like that. And that's from 2015. Where is the other one, though? The 2007. Hold on. Bear with me, guys. Maybe it was on a weekly. Because that has been, hold on, wrong one. I've been looking at this 2008. There you go. It was like this. I think it was on the NASDAQ was better, but it was an alternate pattern completion, the whole kind of 9 yards. The thing about where we are with 2008, and that's, that was a 50% decline, more than. If we did a 2008 kind of move, and I'm just trying to define what's the worst case scenario. 2008, take a 50% haircut, high to low. Well, that puts S&P around 3,000. From a signal perspective, what we need to see is something like this. Okay, we don't have any dots yet. There's 2008 coming down, gets oversold. Demand the dot. All right, well, finally happens there. That's kind of what I feel like is going on. We're waiting for a retracement, something like this pattern. We had a pattern, beautiful spot, confirmation, overran the hop, looking for target one. And what does it do? It flushes, looking for target one, flushes not only one, but two, and then finally comes all the way back, does an 886. A lot of similarities. This just took longer. But that's what we're looking for now, within this range. For us, it's just the last couple of years. I'm not saying that's what I think is going to happen. I think we are really challenging it right now. If target one is going to be the only possibility, that has to be the only possibility. And if not, and let's say tomorrow's garbage. Let's say we don't recover today. NASDAQ's now only off 980. S&P off 240 after being down 300. But let's say today's garbage. Tomorrow is garbage. And it looks weak again. Then we just automatically are going to default back to 43, for target two objectives. And that's it. There will be no long opportunities because it's a full 886 reset. And that for 2022, off of the last pivot low, it gets you to 3,500. Those are the only two possibilities, guys. So we're going to, a lot's going to happen. A lot has happened just in the in between days from our sessions. But we come back on Tuesday. this might be almost obvious, like a breakdown rollover today, tomorrow, Monday, and we're under 48.75. Just be aware. That's the only scenario. I think the likelihood is that we do threaten the last 2 or 3 days and back test in here, but we do the type 2 and then we have something else. That would be the framework. That's flat out price framework. There's no confirmation, no yellow dot here, but you do have HSI. But you could have this kind of crazy type of secondary test that is just a super stealth type 2 that happens in 1 or 2 bars. Almost happened in 1 bar, and you wouldn't pick it up unless you're looking at the software. So let's do that. Let's give away a 30-day package. First person to type in HPC 30, please. If you have won previously, please let some other people win. Got a whole bunch of people trying the software. Again, get over harmonictrader.com. Okay, everything starts there as a basic member. You're free 2 week to all the platforms, so you guys could be hitting us up for all 5 platforms and spend a month or 2. Send your TradingView username to hpc at sr-analyst.com. I would also suggest people try either NinjaTrader or MetaTrader because both of those are free to set up. I run both, so check that out. Hook a fish, you win. I don't know if you won previously, but it's been long enough that I don't remember. Anyway, you got a Discord. Hit me up on the Discord, guys. Yep, I'll put that in the box here in a second. And if you guys have any questions, a bunch of people have sent me messages. They wanted to get access to the reading, to the presentation a few weeks ago. Go onto the Discord. I just put it into the chat box. DM me there, and I'll send you the private link. I'm not making it public, but I'm willing to share. Anyway, a couple of other things before I'll take requests in a second. A lot is still going on in other markets, like we see gold. And I think gold is something that might do the unthinkable. Gold is back. It's up 100 and what is that? $100. Up $100 right now and it's up about 300 in a few sessions. Incredible, right? Gold now going to make the run to 3,300. That is our target, although I'm pretty happy with 3,200. What's that low? 29.60, now 31.80. That's 200 in 48 hours. So that's telling you that maybe gold's not ready. Maybe gold does want to continue to make this larger push, and then we get a couple of monster God candle bars. Although I got to say, last month was very godlike, very divine. Up 300 for the month in March. 3,200 an ounce now. And I mean, just think about that way. It's probably going to just bypass with this kind of action. Looks fully accelerated. And so, been looking at this, and do I add to this? Is this going to be some kind of run? Because the weekly monthly just turned up off of this 50 HSI test. And as we continue to rally, I mean, it's remarkable. 3,000 is just not even being considered. So gold's up there. It's going to stay up in there. And as long as it stays up in here on the monthly chart, my point is this is going to take months and months to come out of the zone. It would take, I don't know, it would take at least 3 to 6 months before this, even if it just collapsed over the next 3 months, it would still take that long to get this amplified reading above the 50. And HSI wants to go back up, much like what we saw back in November 2023. This is a big deal, guys. So again, another market, things are moving so quickly. Is gold ready to go to 4,000? Not 3,300, but is gold about to go to 4,000? 4,100 is the super long-term target. Just to show you that off of the last cycle correction, 2010, there's something going on. Because where it should be turning around, it just continues. There's the 2618, 3350. The bigger target, the 3618, and that's going to be the maximum I use. All right, 4250. We have another situation here where you're so extreme, it's either one or the other, that you're running out of possibilities. And I will come back to this comment, and it's something of why 1618 measurements are so critical. Like what happens at that 1618 can tell you a great deal of what's happening with the larger trend. But remember the 1618, 2470, just shy of 2500. What happened there? An absolute straight on bypass. So welcome 2618 right there, 3350. And so that continues. Whatever that larger phenomenon, and I don't think people even know why gold's doing a historic move. It's doing a historic move. I think it's even being discounted. I'm surprised people aren't talking about this more. That we completely bypassed 3,000 and then we're shooting for like 4,200, guys. That's how this is shaping up in the way that it's doing it. So we are checked that in front of that. Meanwhile, crude oil looks like it does want to kind of flush. And this is an important event that we broke structure this week. A lot of people are saying, okay, that's it. Or, that was the shakeout that they needed. I don't see it. What I see are the patterns looking left. And I think 4280, guys, nobody's saying 40 anything. People are saying maybe 50, didn't know. We got to kind of book it for that 42 test. 4280 is a monthly light sweet crude NYMEX secondary, tertiary test there. There's the weekly, with the 52 hop level, 5283, almost hit. So you want to be optimistic, you say hop level at 5283. Would still need a couple of weeks of dot development. It's 2-3 weeks away from even being considered if you were going to, and I don't think so. A lot of this stuff has finally cracked after 3 or 4 years is what I'm saying. And I think the prices we've been used to, if it's gold to the upside, if it's crude oil to the downside, which is interesting because they're moving in opposite directions, is changing quickly. Let's get in front of it. Silver, sure. SLV, I think silver is a 40-something. It's a 40-something eventuality. There's the weekly bat pattern we've been dealing with. I wish we had some kind of counter signal. Nothing really yet. Every time it bangs 30, it gets rejected. But I'm not, you've got this monthly situation as well. SLV. Target 2 is like 34. I think you eventually get up there. Gold is dominating. But I think silver is a sleeper. hasn't done anything spectacular, but doesn't mean it's not going to be a good play. I'm thinking 34, and then you go 886 all-time retest off of that range. And you're going back decades here, and that's not even the whole chart. But 43, 28 now, yeah, probably looking for a retracement. I don't think it goes under. Maybe if you get to 25.84, that would be a monster buy opportunity because that would be a type 1. But the metals phenomenon, guys, is not stopping. Whatever that is, if it's Chinese buying gold to back a new global currency, it's on that scale. It's on of that scale. And if gold does unthinkable things like, and I'm going to say it, it's not 33. You're 3,000 right now. What if you're going to 41 or 4,200? And then in a crazy overshoot move, everyone's thinking 5K. That seems to me what has developed. And I've been feeling this way for the last year and a half, 2 years. I'm like looking at the extraordinary progress in gold and saying something different is going on here. Couple more. I wanted to look at the SOX index before I go to crypto, guys, because this is yet another one, massive monthly, true monthly dynamics that are dictating what to be following here. And the SOX index, it's SOXX. There you go. SOX on a monthly is like S&P, but it did the 1-2. Where's the 2? No, not the iShares. Hold on. Hold on. There it is. Okay. So this did the real super stealth type 2 retest. And I wanted to kind of go through this because such a huge part of the tech sector, and it helps to explain what the hell's going on. We have this deep crab pattern that went through the 1-2. And we talked about this in the past few months. But it came up, it hit type 1 right here, and then did an immediate retest. So hit type 1 and then right back for the 2. That's the kind of thing where S&P has pretty much put itself in that kind of a position. Be aware of that. No confirmation here, but I'm certainly watching this 35.57. Also notice monthly chart, guys. We are deeply oversold. So that absolutely needs to turn around. But is that something where it could lead the rest of tech? It let it down. Another major development. This has finished the 1-2. Okay, it technically with the hitting the levels necessary, it did the type 1, did the type 2. Is that going to then reset with new confirmation? You are several bars, months away. Go back last time we were down here. You go back, it was May 2022. And you still spent 6 months until you got out of there. Get clear on where we are. Major problem on the SOX. I'm not there yet, but major problem on the SOX is a close under 35.50. And you shoot a gap where it's, you're easily another 1,000 lower. If we want to know if things are going to get real bad, we have to define these levels, and that's there. You get under, if SOX rolls over, you're 38.68 currently. Then we go back and retest the 2022 low. All of those markets are intertwined, directly, indirectly. Absolutely, though, are the ones that are going to show themselves of how far, where is this going and how far? because any rational participants in the markets, including the president, is gone for the next 3 years. So it's going to be crazy volatile. You expect surprises. And I don't care either way. We just need to get clear on how things are developing. S&P's now only off 210 to 210. NASDAQ's down 900. Here's Nvidia, guys, and again, one of the easiest questions to ask yourself: do we have a pattern? If you don't have a pattern, pass or wait for something to develop. Here, Nvidia, yeah, it has a pattern. Someone was asking about the bat pattern. Are we going to get that retest? 93, critical level. There's no confirmation, and for me, I'm just waiting for ideal confirmation to develop. That doesn't have it. Versus Broadcom, AVGO. Look at what this thing did. Massive bat pattern, 148. It already did the type 1. So pattern-wise, I'm thinking, obviously, Broadcom over Nvidia. I'm looking at both, but what did this do? The type 1 all in pretty much that one day, yesterday. But at least that's a start. You got the target 1, couldn't, and we gapped down on the open. But here's the way to look at it. And again, this is a preferred opportunity that has a ways to go. Come back, retest for the type 2. You also have a prior dot. That would be okay. But all of that is lower. What we do know is that type 1 reaction pretty much is it for now. Nothing in Nvidia quite yet. Broadcom would need to come back and do that retest. And I would look at that. I still think that's a monster opportunity. You get a type 2 on a stock like Broadcom for when we do the trend continuation. It's going to be a lot like the last one. So you would look at that, say, all right, get back to 148 for a 208 move. But you have a long way to go on this. Tesla, guys, and then, why don't you start shilling me what you want to look at as I transfer, segue over to crypto. Tesla's really tight in this bat zone. But it's not about the daily, it's about the weekly. And I still like it. I still think we're in a long-term uptrend, and it's all about at what point in this retracement phase, which has been our idea all along. We were at 440 something, we were at 420 or 430, saying go to 340. What happened? It went to 220, 215. Past target 2. Clear example of a market that huge pattern, just like S&P gets to target 1, nothing. The next week, straight on through, go to target 2. That's what I'm looking for. If we do not turn ourselves around on S&P and NASDAQ like this, hit the number, next bar, red candle, look out. Can't even react off of that. And that's been the deal. But finally, for Tesla's case, HSI has finally decided to come out. So that will be an absolutely positive development come tomorrow by 4 o'clock. And can we get amplified, get above the zone? First signs. Guys, the first signs in maybe a year of a bullish setup. Last time we saw that, any kind of a bullish anything on Tesla, again, go back a year. Yeah, you have to go back to, more than a year. End of March, early April turnaround. And it's the same kind of looking for the same type of signals. We get oversold. Where are we? Can we get above the 50? All right, there, you finally get above the 50. Then it can become an acceleration phase. Final part with that would be HSI. Getting triggered HSI above the 50. and then bang, amplified. We are a long way from that, but at least we decided to get out of the oversold zones. I think Tesla would be a lot lower if it was going to do so. If we're going to crush it, I think Tesla should be under 200, but it's not. It's a real struggle here, but those are some positive developments. Again, what we do between now and tomorrow says a lot. Last one is that I want to do the big ones, and they're all here. I mean, look, here's Apple weekly trying to put in a dot, still oversold, but isn't that what we want? Like, don't we want those opportunities to get stuff like Apple and the rest of them when they sell off? And Apple in the monthly here, not yet. I mean, Apple has had a lot of things on the monthly and the weekly chart up here around 250. We were as low, what was that? 170, 169 yesterday. But it gives us a starting point, and we have some obvious support. I think 175, guys, is a pretty good number if we get that opportunity. I don't know why. It's not drawing it out. I see why. This could be interpreted as a shark. I think it's a little skewed with the ratios, but it's something like maybe this. And then 1618 would be a touch lower. Yeah, like 155. If we're looking for a target area. Because, again, the thought behind it is this is the retracement. Whatever's going on now, however crazy volatile things get, this is still the retracement we wanted all along for the move, the continuation for the next 2 to 3 years. So be it. Great. Can we get Apple down at 150? That would be even better. Yeah. All right. What do you guys want to look stock-wise? And then I'll jump to crypto. Walmart. Yeah, look at Walmart. Remember this on Walmart? The daily deep crab up here, and it got all the way down. I mean, amazing. Here's another deep crab, back to back. I didn't even see that. Amazing. But what is it? It's a non-confirmed type 1 to 89. Let's see what we can get here. Incredible. I know we talked at 103, but the next major opportunity for Walmart would be something like that as a type 2 and then go. And we've had those opportunities before. Daily, weekly, here a couple back in 22. Yeah. I just think you got to let these come to you. There's a bunch of them setting up like that. Intel, yeah, Intel is just another one where this $20 fight is going to go on for a while. I'm really surprised. We were trading as low as 18. I'm still on it. I'm still holding at a loss for a while, and it's going to be like that. But I am not liking this action and need to see that hold. I was even talking I might add here around 19, somewhere under 20. Not really. I need to see this thing really firm up above the 50 level for Intel. So not sure what your stance is on it. We got to watch the SOX index too. If I'm looking for new money, I think the number one pattern chart in the semis is going to be a Broadcom, AVGO. Couple more. Yeah, we can go to a couple of those. Yeah, let's do a couple more of those. Yeah, we'll go to Bitcoin in a second because, it's Bitcoin's another. What's that going to do? Are we done?
crypto cycle over now? I really wonder that. I'm asking a lot of people. You think the crypto cycle's over? And that was it? No 3618, no 314 extension? Just a 1618 and then what? A massive retracement? And who would be surprised? Wow, guys, look at this Nike chart. Someone wanted to look at Nike. I have looked at this for a long time. I think we looked at this since 100. Didn't do anything with it. It was about there's a couple of spots. I almost looked at that, as a potential at 73. But you're going to have to go off the hop. If you're this low and you're running this whole zone, there's just nothing here until you hit the hop at 43. And I'm surprised. That's devastating. That chart, I don't care what market that is, what company that is. The only thing I can come up with, something like that, is can we do an ABCD? So A to B, there's 100 points. C to D, where would that be? 30. ABCD's at 30. 886 is at 25. Look, this is what it feels like to me when you put together big companies like this, and when sizable but natural retracements start falling apart, like market goes down 10% and then just accelerates straight to 20%, that's probably signaling those once every 5-year, 10-year moves, especially when you're doing a retracement. This thing topped out. What has that been? That was 4 years ago. And since topping out, really nothing. And you're looking at liquidation here. You have triggered the BAM, the bat action magnet move with the B point failure was there. Once that failure came in, under there, it was straight down to the 886. That's how I would look at any structure, any time frame. So Nike, no and no. Nothing there. You're not even back in there with HSI. I'm surprised. But it's also where you have to kind of just admit what's going on there. It's a lot, big names too. Like here's Hershey's. Hershey's was a absolute monster for 10 years with a real nice trending situation. I'm watching Hershey's right here. Massive trend line support at around 160. These are big names that if they don't stabilize and turn around here, they're telling you something larger. The other one is Target. Now 92, guys. And look at the massive bat pattern there. It's really beautiful. But where is the green bar? Basic questions. You hit the type 1 reaction, target 1, sends it back down. Okay, you hit for the T2. Where is a green bar? Nowhere. Any confirmation? Nowhere. And so Target trading 92 has a really, I think, solid shot of getting to 65 before it does anything. And look, we're oversold HSI. This is the problem across the board. You have a lot of these patterns that are either close to completion or completing, but they just hit the zones and there's no confirmation. Just don't be surprised to see this thing kind of wash out further. I think it's a great pattern, but it's definitely going to require more work. That's a monthly chart too. I don't know. It's been a long time since I remember seeing this many monthly patterns, guys. Yeah. Let's jump to Bitcoin. Sure. Rivian, I don't know. I mean, those again, a low floater. We're not in a low floater environment. Look at Rivian down at 11. I don't know, unless you know something I don't. I just think you're going to spend a lot of time trying to get something that's not quite there ready. That's Rivian. I see what you're saying. I mean, look, Daly's got a couple real nice patterns, but trade it. I don't think you can expect that massive trend move just yet. If you want to try, my suggestion is start in small chunks. You want to try some of these long positions, thinking we're extremely oversold, which we are. But how much longer is it going to take to resolve these levels? I just think we've got more work. If it's a few sessions, a few weeks, or something that drags out over the summer. But drag is definitely the word. Maybe take a small chunk, something like that, and see what happens. Because where you are, you're 1148. We could easily go back to 8 or 9, 9 or 10, something just before it really wants to do anything. Speaking about doing anything, I think Bitcoin is absolutely needs to show us what it wants to do here. Back under 80K. And I just, I think if we turn it all off and just focus on the price action and the framework, what do we know? We know that 76.5 is something we've talked about since end of January, early February, mid-February, the whole time. And what does it have to do to end that retracement? Stabilize, put in some dots, we have them. What's the only thing this hasn't done is broken the downtrend like that. And, I'm willing to give that more time in light of what's already happened and the obvious with the major markets. We know what the environment is. The environment's completely opposite of what it was 6 months ago. Opposite. Now, what about the levels? What does it have to do? They're the daily. Can the daily get above that 50 level? And also within this whole downtrend, you look at it like that, have we been able to do anything above the 50 for amplified? So both of those, they need to turn up. They need to give you some positive readings. And I mean like 55, 60 levels for amplified where Bitcoin is in a position to actually do anything, continue the move. And if it's over, if the whole thing's over, guys, then you're going to have to make a whole another set of assessments. That if the 1618 at 1025, that was it, and we're in a negative asset allocation environment for the rest of the year, or at least the next 6 months, that's going to just absolutely consume all the potential. And we'll know. Well, I really think you get to the end of this month, the monthly candles don't look great. Monthly candles, more than like really 2 or 3 monthly candles on Bitcoin, and it starts becoming something else. There you are. And we're going to have to just take it in chunks, like I've said. But the problem, again, like the markets, like a lot of these major scenarios, is there's nothing between scenario number 1, scenario number 2. And scenario number 2 on Bitcoin is not 76. There is a all-time 382 at 73. But I think if you want to pull that move and go do this, and I would be looking at these levels. It just seems like the weekly and monthly levels in all markets right now is dictating where it's going to go. 382 is like 73,700. But an overspill move, which we could easily do that down to a 618, is you go back to 51K. So there's nothing really below. I would even I'd say under 73, you've got real problems. Under 70 definitely triggers a deeper retracement and the cycle would be over. So be mindful of that. Another market where downside targets need to get really tightened up and then make or break levels of, all right, if this happens, if Bitcoin cracks 72, 71, closes under 71 or under 70K, you've got this thing where the next set of possibilities just, they happen quickly. And that's 50. And at that point, I would say then, yeah, it's a thing. We know that the last rally, not only was it ideally harmonic, but now it's reacting. And so what are the levels that it should react to? And that's either 382 or 618. And I think, that 618 level, that's not a crazy possibility. Be ready for it. Be ready for it. No one's actually looking for those big targets anyway. Sure. Bring those other ones. We can look at those other stocks next time. I want to kind of hammer through a couple crypto. Guys, Ethereum is the other one. And I bought one Ethereum and I just said, all right, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to hold it and let's just see what happens. Dumb. Because it was not even, it was looking to be a trade and just to test the waters. And man, every time I test the waters, anytime I have in the last 6 weeks, it just crushed, instantly crushed. And so for now, all of this is maybe something, but I don't think it's a lot. 15, 1600, there's nothing really there, guys. The only thing that I really even want to consider at this point is an all-time 886 off of 2022 cycle, and that's a starting point. This thing is in major trouble. Major trouble. I'm hoping to get a little bounce and get out of it. 1250. 1250. That's your Ethereum target. And I need to kind of highlight absolute issues with this technically, that for the first time in 5 years, you have just, you connect the dots. You have violated a massive uptrend that should not have. That was our assessment the whole time. We're thinking, okay, that's a double top at a 786. Ethereum at 4,000. The fact that it failed that, I've been saying that for months. The fact is a real problem. Real problem. Okay, and now the retracement to the trend line mean? Nope. No thank you. So what are the possibilities? Again, guys, possibilities are very limited. At this point, it's 1250. Independent of anything that Bitcoin could possibly do. And if Ethereum can do this, then I'm not real hopeful that asset money is going to flow into crypto and bring some kind of miraculous move into Bitcoin. This problem that I've had with crypto for the last couple of months is really it's really gnawing at me. And I don't want to be a total FUD person, but if I took the label off of this chart and was trying to look for opportunities, I'd have to say that really what it is, monthly, can I connect dots here? Oh, that was the wrong one. Well, here, let me do it this way. Then I'll have to move. But even if I connect dots, the fact that this prior high on Ethereum, all-time high, 4109. The prior high there, 4093. That's a failed high. That means this has to be a 1618. This segment from there to there has to then become a 1618. Ethereum off of that with what we call failed harmonic impulse wave down to the 1618, guys. That's 880, 875, retesting the 1.0 level. All right, I'm laying out some big numbers here to get in front of this situation. I haven't liked Ethereum the whole cycle. Really, I really felt like that first buying one Ethereum would put my toe in there. My toe is going to get chopped off. So we'll see. I mean, it's not a big deal, but I'm certainly not taking any serious consideration where it failed the absolute, like 1800 couldn't hold that. That means this whole monthly thing is in business. 1620, that's 870, guys. 870 Ethereum. Take that for what it is. That's my framework. That's how I lay it out. That's that measuring it. What are the possibilities? That's basically it. And 1800, I've told you how critical failing that would be. And now here we are. Hold on. Guys, let me know. Yeah, oh, I see what it is. Hold on. My audio's kicking out. Let me see. I think it looks good. No, I know what's going on there. Anyway, what else? What about XRP? Let's just do the big ones, and then we're going to get out of here. I'm going to see if I can get something here. And then look for an opportunity towards the end of the lunch. Okay, XRP here, 194 was literally 160 back down here, what, 48 hours ago? 175. Oh, there it is. 163. And this is a slow meltdown, guys. This is another situation where XRP has already triggered the bat action magnet move. And I'll stick with that. Really should not be down here. X, A, B, C. B point at a 50. So what's that? 886. And unless a pattern shows up in between here, or we get some kind of new retracement structure, anything like that, that's what I'm going with. Let's check out NQ really quick here. NQ reversing off of 18K. Oh, nice. And back down. I'll finish up on that in a second. I had to open up a new layout. So XRP, guys, I don't have anything constructive on that. I really have looked and looked and looked, and I think we're going to have to go there and just wait. I mean, what do you do if you're in it long term? You got to figure out how long term. I know people that are not selling this thing, and that's okay. You do what you want to do. But to me, that has round trip written all over it. And I hope I'm wrong for all those people. But could I get constructive on this? It would take a lot of bars. It would take a lot of green candles. And what we've been saying about XRP is exactly the situation. There was nothing there before. We take out these obvious support lows, then XRP has to kick up to those weekly, longer-term time levels. Ever since this crab pattern, the type 2, there was the yellow dot, all of that at 320. Forget about it. That's the deal. Sometimes it's not easy to lay it out flat out and have to just go along with the fact that the party's over and you can't expect much from this. And this is coming from somebody that tried to get back into some things. I'm longer term. You're going to have to see it as All it is, you missed the party. The police came, they busted it up. It's over now. Probably next weekend or, that kind of thing. Solana down here, talk about parties. I've got concerns. We've talked about why 95 was really important. Daily stuff, weekly, target 2. And this is another one where, the whole outlook for crypto was just trucking into the end of the year. And it hit big levels, could not get through, turned around. And we were looking for target 1 all along. And once it really started flushing out, 105 was the only possibility. And let that be another example of what's going on. Okay, what is going on is a lot of the pattern structures we're seeing, most of them are they're type 1 reactions with or without confirmation that going to target 2s. And I say that with the same kind of just thinking about S&P 500. Don't be surprised that a lot of these big weekly patterns want to go to target 2. Now, Solana has a few things here where we don't have any confirmation, almost got there, but nothing yet. So even if I was going to try to maybe look for a return bounce off of 105, I don't have anything there. And my real concern under this week's low, there is nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. And the only thing that is here, guys, with Solana from 105 is back to retest the prior bat pattern that got this all started at 47. Getting in front of it again. Just getting in front of, if not here, then the next possibility is a massive gap lower. And that's to put in that official type 2 where, okay, you round trip it. Incredible move. I know people that were in on Solana, they were telling me, yeah, don't miss Solana. And at that point, I thought I confused Solana with Sam Bankman-Fried. That I thought, oh yeah, I thought that was him. And I was like, why would I want to buy that? So I really didn't catch that move a little bit. I mean, I bought it at like 30 and cashed out at like 80 or something. But the only other thing here is, 1618 at a 618-ish. Oh, we're not even there yet. Where's the 1618? Like Solana throwdown move 1618 is still 90. So I'm kind of suspect about this 105 number. And a full 886, guys, it gets you to 36. It gets you under your 47. Just looking at possibilities beyond today's lows, because this has to be it. Yesterday has to be it. This has to be it. And if you don't start turning, next week we're going to be talking about these levels as our eventual possibility. That's where we're at. We have shifted from the day targets to the weekly targets. Now what, monthly, big monthly retracements? That's basically all that is left. We're going to have to see this thing stabilize now, or that's what we're dealing with. Still can agree that there's some sanity left in this market, but that could quickly go out the door if we just continue into next week. Here's Cardano, and I want to bring this up because all along I was saying look for the retracement. Get us the type 2 on the shark. We were at 90. Even after this big move, I said that's just a type 1 coming all the way back down. And I was saying 55 cents. 55 was hit, and it went to 65. I'm going to say lower. I think this too needs a deeper retest. It's probably more like 40. And here's on the daily. Where's the weekly? Well, daily's not there yet either. Daily needs to be above the 50. The weekly time frame, it just says I've got a lot of work left. I'm not going to jump on any of these until it's absolutely obvious. We get back above the 50 like that on Cardano, much like what we did back in July, August of last year. We're not there yet. All of these. Yeah, I don't even know if it is worth looking at the others index, William, but I'll look at it really quick because we're looking for stabilization. What we're saying is that we enough of this. That's a 50% retracement on the others index. No, so that was over 400 billion. Over 400 billion back 4 months ago, early December. Now we're 50+%. Others index is right at 200 billion, and you still need this week and next week for a yellow dot. And we had a few previously a year ago, but it still took weeks to turn that thing around. And that's where others is. And so crypto is still not anywhere close to being ready to be of value. I don't think any of these things that have sold off are a discount, like overdone opportunity yet. What was that one? NASDAQ's jumping. Thanks. I'll look at that in a second. We'll go there. Gala and Big Time. Yeah, I can look at those two, and then let's peek. NASDAQ's trying to turn around. Gala, same thing. Full on 886. I think you look at Gala's chart, it looks a lot like Ethereum. A lot like Ethereum. You know, you failed the prior high, that swing high. Okay, and now you broke down, and the only thing to do is an 886. For Gala, you need a dot. And a lot of these need a dot where your best case scenario is Gala currently is like where it was last summer. But it would take 6 weeks, 8 weeks after the dot before you could even want a position. The easiest way to read that, guys, is if you're looking at your favorite crypto and it's not here above the 50 level, you simply wait. We're here now on Gala. You got to get above 50 to really get going. Price acceleration happens above that 50 line. You're not there yet. Not there. Big Time, man, that just looks like a total dump. 6 cents. That was like 60 a while ago. Deep Crab, okay. I see what you're getting at. This would be one that, like, you're down here 5-6 cents. I know that used to be 65 cents because I tried to buy it up there one time. There you go. All right, I see what you're getting at. This does have a few things that may be a little more constructive. HSI at the 50 level, that's pretty good. For starters, a couple of dots. You need another dot, by the way, because you have 1, 2 signals there. The amplified is not above the 50, so Big Time. You know, I think it's the. I don't want to tell people what to do. You know, I'm not saying buy here, sell here. I'm rather going to line up metrics to identify and define opportunities. You do have a pattern there. All right, but that pattern's like 3.6, 4 cents, somewhere there. You're at 6. But regardless, I think with all of this stuff, if you get a type 1 move, and especially it is a target, type 1, target 1, trade it. That's it. Just trade it. Don't expect much more than that. And again, that's the only way I think people are making money is they are trading actively. No one's looking for buys down here for the next cycle, quite frankly. A lot of those have busted. I mean, a lot of them. I put this up Oh, it's Giga Chad. It's not Chad. It's Giga. Giga USD, which is one of the top meme coins talked by what's his face Murad, who knows what that guy did. Um, 6 months ago, when all that hysteria, you would have said, "Wow, a pattern like this, absolutely." But what happened? Here's Giga Chad. 1.15 cents is really the hop level. That's hit, but is that even a viable asset at this point, or is that completely busted? Not crazy about it. You're trying to get back above the 50 level. But even with something like that, your best hope is 1.15 cents to 4.8 cents, and that's it. There are a lot of scenarios that do look like this, but lacking confirmation, or they're simply just stuck in a zone. I'm just not constructive for me. Render, another one is, let me just finish up on there because we've talked about the big patterns with render. Big weekly type 2s with confirmation down here. And I think I said a week ago or 2 weeks ago, this is probably the nicest, most ideal harmonic weekly pattern in all of crypto. At, where is it? It's 306. Now 332. Where's the progress? Not there yet. Like, you've got everything. Can you wait another week or two to get render above the 50 line before we can expect something major? If you feel like you're going to miss out, then buy a fraction of the position. For me, at this point, I would rather be a little bit late, still buying in the zone. Anything under 390 is fine. But I've seen too many lag where they don't get above the 50 and they never move. And they potentially have the problem of becoming dead assets here across the board. Well, I'm surfing through all of these patterns, and they feel like dead assets. A lot of these structures feel like they've totally broken. Ethereum being one of them, by the way. Like, Ethereum to me looks like that 1,000 or 800 are not even the end of it. That's the issue I have, and we're gonna have to see. But I've had this cautionary tone on all of this for a long time, and it hasn't changed. If anything, it's probably getting a little more severe. We got to get through this really quick. NASDAQ trying to make a rebound. We're up a couple hundred here. Yeah, go. Did we reverse off of that 5-minute? Yeah, off of this 8. Yeah, well, we're up 600 off of the 1802 target one. That's where we started today. And that makes this 18,000 level super critical now. So try to leave you with a couple of levels. We're going to go back, probably retest now, 1880. That was sweet. But what are the big levels? If we're under 18K, any close above or under 18K, we're going to have to really think about not only just a retest of the target ones, but something more severe. Literally today, tomorrow, guys, could dictate what happens into the next 3 to 6 months. You need to see this thing continue. And it can be down. You could have a 400, 500 point negative close, but still be constructive. And then for up here above the resistance zone, you got to get above like 19K. 18 and 19, that's just defining it all. What's XCN? Onyx coin? Oh, man, you got me looking. See? You see how easy it is to clickbait that? Onyx coin, 1.6. Amazing. But look what also that did. That came all the way back down. This is, I knew somebody would get me on that, but that's just that's a poster child of every pump from November. And that was a huge one. Anyway, okay. NASDAQ, pretty clear. We'll close under 18K, we got a problem. Above 19K, we get more constructive. SPY, guys, greatest chart in the world. Tomorrow is the close. Are we going to get out of the zone? Unless we have something catastrophic happen tomorrow, which knock on wood, but 482, absolute pivot point. We just need to see this thing higher to get HSI out. On Tuesday, we will be talking about what this candle did. 482, 561 on the top side is we can get out of here. That's the immediate target for now. I mean, it's just incredible. We hit that, we pivoted. So stay with the SPY, check the SPY. You want to have a clear idea where the market's going. Follow what this does. I would say up to 561. We'll come back on Tuesday and we'll look at it all. Everybody else, get over to harmonictrader.com. It all starts there. Try the Ninja Trader. I mean, the Ninja Trader's got an amazing screen, a lot of functionality. Run them both. If you guys want to get any of that, send your trading username to hpc@sr-analyst.com. Okay, winners, today's people that won, you got to email me. And let's give away one more. HPC 30 for the last person today. Give you a 30-day package. Everyone else, let me know, DM me over on the Discord. But a crypto, you win. So hit me up on the Discord. And anybody else that's interested in getting the recording from the seminar, I will privately send it to you. And my recommendation is you guys download it. It's a downloadable link because I'll probably remove that and store it elsewhere, long-term storage. Beyond that, if you have any questions, get to me on the Discord. Until then, people, have a great weekend. Just hang in there. Remain patient. We'll get through this week, and maybe next week we're back to normal, somewhat normal conditions. Thanks, folks. Great session. Have a great one. As always, go get 'em.